Oh.
I technically could have gone up there and been like, hey, can I get...
Yeah.
I feel like I'm probably going to go to Miss Paul and see, hey, are you going to get some money after the games? Because here's my ticket. I literally just went in there and sat there for a few minutes and then left. So I don't want to have to pay $2 for that. I know it's just $2, but money's money when it's me. I'm hungry. Pizza. Pickles. Josh, you want a pickle?
What should we do for dinner?
I don't know.
Yes. Okay. I'll be right over there with the jar.
Seriously? Barely snowing. The world's coming apart.
Dude, no, seriously. I was driving down Porter Road in the Jeep, straight, no brakes. Not even kidding. Had to and there was a car coming this way and a car this way, and there was a car in front of me. And so I finally got to where I wasn't doing this and popped it into 4-wheel drive. And guess what? Still in 4-wheel drive. I get up to the big thing at Dean Solomon. Here comes a Mustang, puts on its brakes to go into that curve. I mean, he was not going very fast. Tap the brakes, and he's off in the ditch after a 360. So, yeah, no. Don't even go there. But the roads were ridiculous. And then even still, after that guy got past, then I was up on the thing. I was coming up to the stoplight, and still, I'm in 4-wheel drive, and I'm still doing this. The way you're saying it is like, these people, it's not the end of the world. The only people that have done that so far is Lincoln. In my black bag is our water bottles. If you get a second, would you?
Guess what? I love you.
Sure. That sounds great. Let's have some lettuce and we have some tomato that needs to be eaten up for. Hey, it's Blake.
Do I need to get myself a hangout hooked up so I can join into your thing, or am I good?
Probably. Blake, thanks for coming. So far, you're the only one. And you're gone. Maybe I'm not doing this right.
Hello.
Hi.
I didn't even know this was happening. I saw it in a notification in my Google Now, I guess.
Ah. I had posted it in our WordCamp Fayetteville on Facebook, and then to do this thing, the Google Hangouts, I had to invite some Google Plus people. So
Gotcha.
this is our first time to try and do it on Google Hangouts. It's snowing here, and so I was trying to do the Google Hangouts to try and get a few more people involved. Yeah, you guys got it early this morning, though, right?
Still kind of going. Let's see. Yeah, it stopped, but it's still. It was going into the afternoon.
It was supposed to miss us up here. We were supposed to get nothing, and then next thing you know, the roads are icy. I don't know if they're icy. It's just that they were kind of wet from the snow. It sprinkling all day, and then anyway, I had a fun time getting home. It was sliding all the way home. So how's life?
Yes, we. It's good. It's busy. It's been real busy. I've got a new baby and about to adopt 2 boys.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's crazy right now.
How old? All of them?
Yeah.
How
I'm
old's
sorry, I
the
didn't
baby?
catch that last part.
No, yeah, how old's the baby?
Baby is 6 months.
Wow. And then you're adopting what age?
Yeah, baby's 6 months and adopting 8 and 5.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Is it a foster to adopt situation, or?
Yeah, basically, we became foster parents a couple years ago, and we knew that we'd probably adopt eventually, and so that's just kind of how it happened. They've been with us for 2 years, and now they're part of our family. So
That's cool. So they're not new to your. That's cool. So it's just becoming official.
yes, essentially.
Sweet.
Essentially, yeah.
That's very cool. I was adopted when I was a kid, by family members, but still.
Right.
I always cheer people on that do that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's life's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Now, do you work from home?
That.
Are you still like? What's your life work-wise?
Yeah, I work from home. Tate and I used to work together. We don't anymore. And I mainly work on WordPress stuff. Starting to move out of it a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
or we're using WordPress as, kind of in the application development sphere. So I'm doing a lot of that lately. Using the new JSON API that WordPress has, and just kind of using WordPress as kind of a database interaction tool, and then using a lot of JavaScript as a kind of a separate application. So I'm doing a lot of that. And
what kind of applications are you building?
Well, I can't say right now.
Oh, okay.
Later I'll be able to, Later I'll be able to say. It's kind of a joint venture with my dad. And then I have built a theme that uses AngularJS, which is a Google JavaScript library that basically creates a one-page website, but everything kind of dynamically loads, no page reloading, stuff like that. Very interesting stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I do work from home, and yeah, that's kind of what I do. Now Tate, he works at
White Spider, right?
the card company up there. Dayspring. Oh. He just moved to Dayspring.
Oh.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I had not heard that he had left White Spider.
Yeah, I think that he was not liking all the 70, 80-hour work weeks, and he's just like, I just would rather see a project go, work, go on from, work on one project for a long period of time and kind of see it to completion. He said it feels a lot better. So, which I can understand. I don't know. Are you still in client work? And
oh yeah, yep. We are. Yeah. So we have half of our business. I don't know if you know that half our business is software development. So we have a church management software, online registration software that's been used for about 7 or 8 years by Parks and Recreation primarily, and then have a new product that's launching this month, next month. We wrote it, someone else is selling it, kind of a deal. But anyway, so that's half of our business, and what we're figuring out is that client work is tough to, or at least for the way we do it, we have not been terribly profitable. So we have, we have a lot of clients and we've done a lot of work, but we continue to have a similar profit, and even though our revenue grows, so we're trying to figure all that out, which I guess part of it is post recession. Look, we survived the recession. How does that go now? Anyway, so we're trying to put a little more focus on our software. It's fun to work with churches and to really give them some the tools that they need, and recurring revenue is good. So it's just a transition. Yeah,
I'm trying to get out of some client work. I don't know. I still do some of it. I don't know. It's just there's so many variables, and if I don't know, you gotta be. I think in my opinion, you have to price really high, or you have to price really low. And if you're pricing really low, it's got to be like, hey, fill out a form, upload your image, and pick your layout, and I'll call you after it's done, and kind of the site automates itself, and it's really, you don't feel like you're actually doing any work. And you're just basically putting out little fires here and there and making sure their site's updated. And I don't know, that's the only way I found it to be profitable. And I don't know, part of me likes kind of that too. Part of me likes the hosting aspect of it, but in a different sort of way. I also dabble in the new field of DevOps. I don't know if you're familiar with that term.
No.
Basically, you use code to manage infrastructure, and basically managing cloud computing with code that's backed up into Git, and it's versioned, and your entire application stack is kind of deployed at a moment's notice, and so servers mean nothing to you because it's all automated. And if something breaks, okay, well, I just shut it all down and move to a different cloud setup, basically. It's a lot of moving parts, but it's really very interesting how it all works together. And it's called DevOps. It's kind of operations. It's kind of development. It's kind of interesting. So.
That is cool. I have found that I like to learn, and so I'm trying to figure out ways that I can like to learn and still keep the wheels on the bus, so to speak. So I get that's to me, like, not that I have anywhere near the expertise, but like it just sounds like a black hole to fall into. But I thought it was fascinating if you can have the time to do that, sort of figure out what's the next thing and be getting up to speed on that. That's really cool. Well, it looks like we may be the only ones. We were supposed to. Did you get to come up last year? No, you had a.
I did not. My baby was born. Yeah, I was scheduled to speak, but I couldn't make it because she came early, and it came right. It was like, see, she was born on I think the Tuesday right after WordCamp, but we kind of knew she was going to come early anyways, and so I just like, well, I can't go.
Yeah, I don't blame
But I
you.
actually will be in Fayetteville maybe tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
If you can get out.
If I can get up. So my wife, she does training all over the state for DHS. She's a subcontractor, and she trains child welfare investigators and other DHS workers and things like that. So she travels all the time, and I get to decided I'd come with her this time.
Tag along. That's cool. Do you guys homeschool your boys?
No, we don't.
Oh, okay.
We might in the future, but not yet.
Okay. Looks like Ben Pollock joined us.
Oh, hi. Oh, there's my light. Yeah, I've been my first hangout. It's my first hangout, not my first Skype, or my first rodeo, but it's taken me 6 or 7 minutes to find out just what Gmail wanted me to do to get in here.
Oh, okay. Yes, I suspect that. Well, it took me a few minutes because I was logged into my Gmail account instead of my Angela at the Belford group. So I had started the Hangout as Angela at the Belford group at the office, or that's what I'd sent it out, and then I was trying to get logged into that account so I could run the Hangout. That would be good. So I feel you.
Yeah.
And we are joined by Blake Barber from Little Rock.
Hi, Blake. Wasn't he at one or two of our meetings last year? Hi.
I don't think he's scheduled to speak, and he's been to WordCamp a couple times, right?
I think 3, and last year would have been my 4th, but I couldn't make that one. So.
Got it.
I think my first one was in 2011 to Fayetteville. I also go to the Austin one a lot in Austin, Texas, just because I have family down there.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
So how's life, Ben? We've just been catching up a little bit as we're apt to do in these meetings.
Well, life is going very well. I just came back from campus, slipping and sliding, but made it home. And that's sort of prevalent on my mind.
I understand.
So, I'm needing to recruit you to talk about SEO to my students sometime in middle or late March.
Love to do it. Be happy to. March, I'm in town. Last week I was like all I was in kind of just a bummer mood for like 2 days, and I was like, what is my problem? What's going on? And then I was like, oh, you haven't been traveling enough.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Mexico in January, and then I'm home for February and March. So, yeah, just let me know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I will email you stuff like, what the hours are and, any conflicts, like spring break is a conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, you can come, but it'll all be locked up, so
Sure.
we'll find another day.
Yeah. Are you Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday?
Just Monday, Wednesday. And they're Monday, Wednesday, and they're like hour and 15-minute classes.
Okay, cool.
So you don't get the whole thing if you want it, but, basically people have been talking for like half an hour.
Excellent.
And then I had the students doing other stuff before and after.
Okay. Yep.
So
the main purpose of tonight's meeting is to talk through our tracks, our user tracks. We kind of got started a little bit the other night at our meetup group on Thursday nights that we're doing now up here in Fayetteville, and essentially everybody loves the 101 track. Feel like it has been well run thanks to Ben the last couple of years, and also we feel like it serves a purpose and serves a really strong need that people have of like really getting introduced to WordPress. The other 3 tracks are open for discussion. The developer track, I am routinely struggle to get the speakers that we need. I think we have lots of fantastic developers, but getting the ones that are willing to speak is a little more tricky. So, and then there was also a little bit of discussion that last year we didn't have the turnout from the blogger people because we didn't really have a blogger track. We had the 101 designer, developer. What did we say the other one was?
Designer, developer. But yeah, we ended up reducing it to 3 tracks, didn't we?
Oh, that's right. We did reduce it to 3 tracks. That was kind of the deal. So, one of the conversations we had Thursday night was potentially having one of the tracks be kind of developer / business.
I saw an email from Rebecca Hayden a few minutes ago about that.
Oh, well, let me pop over and see. Let's see. I would like to see a track for business owners who use WordPress. Many small business owners do their own website management and would no doubt find it useful to learn about updates, analytics, business-oriented plugins. We have a large community of bloggers, so it seems though we should have a track for them. I don't know what the extent they are blogging with a view to monetizing, but if that's the majority, they might find the business track refreshing since many come to WordCamp each year. Whether to split up designers and developers might depend on how well we recruit speakers. Do we continue to have WordPress 101 new attendees each year, or would that group be better served in a blogger or business owner track? So,
my opinion on the developer and sort of business is try to go more towards business and then have developers either have a panel or kind of an open forum for developers at another time, and maybe even a developer day. I know a lot of other WordCamps do that. That'd be my opinion, because really for a WordCamp, presenting a bunch of content all the time, it just all throughout the day, it's really, you can't really get in there and learn all that much. Even in a long period of a developer day, it just gets too heavy for the novice, and then it's always too basic for the advanced user. So to me, even like a 5-minute presentation on, hey, here's something neat I'm doing with WordPress is much more insightful to the advanced developers. And then definitely focusing on the business side of it, because I think that is crucial. I mean, I find that in my experience, most business owners don't have a clue, what is a registrar, what is a host, what is the different what is it, what is DNS, just the different components of what makes up a web page. They should know that they should have some experience on, and I think that would be, and then how does WordPress play into those different things? I think that would be a great idea, just to kind of focus on those. Hey, how do I manage my business with my website, and how does WordPress fit into that?
So totally brainstorming, not fully thought out. We do have access to the computer lab there on in Walton College, and I wonder if even the developer and the designer, if maybe the morning was sort of a developer open forum kind of a thing, and we asked a few developers to kind of lead some discussions and kind of talk through what they're doing, and whether that's, I'm thinking either recommend that they bring laptops or else that we have it in the computer lab, and then sort of kind of do the same thing with the designer track, so that instead of it being this programmed speaking thing, because I feel like that there are designers that, at least the designers that work for me, feel like they learn something new every year, and they like to kind of hear what other people are doing with WordPress and kind of how they're using it. So that would perhaps maybe, and then the other two tracks, I don't know how to make the blogger track interesting and different from the business track. That was, the second or third year I was involved, we did a business track and a blogger track, and we didn't have, it was very hard to know what to talk about that was specific and different. So I am totally all in for like using WordPress for business. We at one point talked about like, the way we identified it was, are you someone that you make money creating content, so it's more blogger monetizing, or do you use WordPress to sell something else, whether it's your services or your product or whatever? And that was kind of how we differentiated the business side. Anyway,
I'd be curious about how many of the potential students would be real savvy on code or design. That would be my worries. Yes, they want to use it. They have some basics, but I'm not sure where if there's a typical business operator or business manager, and if they were they already pretty heavily into code and just need some direction, or do they need more hands-on, more DIY?
I think they probably need more DIY than just, hey, here's a theme, here's a plugin that you could use, and here's the basics behind what makes a website work. To me, I think that's, in my experience when I'm talking with my clients, I'm like, well, where's your registrar, and where's your host, who's your current host? They just don't have a clue about this stuff, and maybe they don't need to know all the nuts and bolts, but they need to know some of it, and that's my experience. And just, I think that business track would be great for something like that. I wouldn't push them to the code or even design for that matter, because it's just so highly technical and specialized.
Okay. Well, what might be wanting to go for is, we had some trouble. It sort of increases and then it doesn't, about filling out teachers for 101. And I'm wondering maybe if the first half of a day might be 101, and then the same group of people, because I think most of them are business applications, would be go more into business. I don't think they're interested that much in having a website for Pinterest or scrapbooking as much as wanting to create something for their own small business, or knowing one of the people that I had, she wanted to market to businesses. She wanted to be able to design WordPress for little businesses that she knew in Bella Vista.
And I didn't even think about that, just how much maybe once, I've never been to the 101 sessions, so I didn't even think about how 101 might cover some of the things that I was just talking about, or help people understand those type of things. So maybe you call it 101 and business, or some sort of merge. And I like that idea where you take the morning tracks and say, well, here's the basics behind WordPress, and then here, let's go on to some more advanced business type. Hey, if you want to sell something, sell a product, here's WooCommerce. That's a typical thing. Shopping cart out of the box that you can use. Here's, do you need social aspects to your site? Here's BuddyPress. Here's some other thing. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. Well, what ours does best is really for about 2 or 3 hours. I'm the 101 of the 101. I set them up on an account. I explain WordPress.com, WordPress.org, and other people have come in and how to differentiate plugins, how to choose a theme, not how to customize theme, how to choose themes, and then how to use the new customizer, and so forth. And others are about rights. Some have done image editing. And after that, it can run out of steam. But I think this, as an application to 101, business as an application, might be a real draw. And analytics would be really big, real basic, and we've got people that can teach that. Rebecca's daughters both can teach it, Angela can teach it. Everybody's taught analytics, and on an advanced level and on a basic level. But they're going to want to know analytics.
So are you saying that you don't feel like you think that 7 sessions is too much for the 101 track?
Well, it seems like, it's true for the other tracks. I'm just focused on 101, but it's always a struggle to find teachers. And then we eventually find enough. And so that's the A. The B part is how to keep the teachers away from code. Because so many of them want to get into customizing, and I watch the students just go blank, and then they start leaving for sexy titles like Leela Davidson's, courses always have such great titles, and so forth, because they get lost very quickly. So it's a matter of keeping the people that really know this stuff on the basic level. So those are the 2 angles.
We talked about, and I was heartily vetoed, we talked about moving this next year's WordCamp 2015 to Central Arkansas. And there was some discussion from the Conway Little Rock contingent, and then I was flatly told, this is our thing. They have WordCamp Conway, they have all sorts of Conway stuff. I only say that because it feels like I know that I stepped out of speaking for a couple of years because I'm saying the same thing. I wasn't saying the same thing, but at the same time, I kind of was saying the same thing. I did the analytics for a couple of years.
Well, I don't know anybody in Little Rock that has the word or does. I don't even know that there's a meetup here in Little Rock for WordPress itself. I started one a couple years ago, and it just lost steam real quick. I couldn't get anybody to help because, like you said, I was just saying, I was going through my topics or just getting up there trying to see what people wanted to do, and most people were there saying, well, hey, how do I get a website set up and do X, Y, and Z with it? And I was just like, well, I charge money for that.
Yeah.
I can show you, hey, this is one little nifty thing that I'm doing. And I think this kind of touches on maybe one of the problems with WordPress is that if you're not buying a theme that's highly customizable with a nice user or GUI to make it happen, you're really going to have to, at some point, you're going to have to learn some code, or at least some copying and pasting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I was just thinking about that when Ben was talking about the 101 and keeping it out of code, which I totally agree with. I just thought about it. Yeah, that's true. You want to keep it away from that, but then as soon as you want to change one little thing, well, that everything is a code change eventually, and I don't know. It's hard to gauge. Is there anything who told you out of Little Rock that they don't want you to move to Central Arkansas?
No. It was somebody in Northwest Arkansas that said, "Don't move there. We will lose it if you move it down there." And it was really funny, really entertaining, because I was like, "Okay, then y'all need to jump in."
Yeah.
But one of the things I think why our meetup I don't know how long it will last, but right now we're about to start our fourth month. But what we did is, before we even started it, we recruited 3, and now we have a 4th agency, and every one of us is responsible for a different month. So we rotate through who's in charge of publicity and who's in charge of the topic for the month. And I'm not saying it's huge, because it's a lot of us talking to each other, but it's I don't know. It's interesting, and I like the format because there's not one person that is 100% responsible. Because I just told him I wasn't willing to do that, but with each of us having a month and being able to rotate, then I think we're gonna have a little better shot at getting some momentum. Maybe, I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. The other thing I just now was doing was I was looking at other WordCamps, and because you said that you went to Austin, Blake,
yeah,
and so I wonder if it would be useful for us to kind of survey, just going on the internet and getting a sense of what other people are talking about. Because like, I'm looking at this, there's one on website conversion, there's one on mobile app development, getting web traffic, stuff like that. So perhaps we could that would help us come up with fresh ideas for what to talk about. Because I don't know, I think there's a lot of people that are willing, but they're like, what do you want me to talk about?
Yeah, and I think definitely from a developer standpoint, it's the most I get out of it, or the most that I see when I go to Austin or when I go to other ones, it's, hey, how do I run a freelance business, or how do I run a small agency?
Right.
That really seems to hit it off really well. And then it's, hey, look what I'm doing. This is kind of a cool thing that I'm working on. And I've really mostly enjoyed the developer days that are separate from the WordCamp itself. And I think they've kind of steered away from that and done more of, from what I can understand, is this is coming from WordCamp. It's coming from Automatic or coming from WordPress.org, that they're wanting to do more like developer, like hackathon, knockout tickets for WordPress on those developer days, instead of just having a developer day where people are sharing their ideas, which I find to be more helpful for a developer. I don't know, it just, if you've been to one developer day or been to 2 developer days, you pick up a few nuggets here and there. But if you're a beginning developer, it's almost like it's too much. And really, if you're an advanced developer, it's just like, well, hey, I just need a few ideas here and there. Oh, that would work nicely with what I'm working on over here. Thanks for sharing. And more of a collaborative sharing type thing, and you don't necessarily need huge, long 45-minute sessions for that. That's just my thoughts on that. But yeah, I mean, I came up with an idea of just in my mind just a second ago of what I could speak about for development. How to do some of the stuff that I'm doing right now. How to build a one-page application with AngularJS and WordPress JSON API. That would be an interesting talk. So I think there could be some value to having a full developer track. I don't know, just some more of those. The advanced users are not going to come to a WordCamp for it. They're going to want to come to a specific day for developers, or that's just my feeling. It's more like networking and community
right.
involvement for the developers at that point, or I don't know.
That might fit in more with our Thursday night monthlies, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a WordPress developers meetup going on up here, and I went one time, and I spent most of the time going, now what did you say? Now what did you say? What did you say? I did talk to a guy the other day that was I met at one of those meetups actually, and I am drawing a blank on his name. I have his card, but I saw him and I said, I need developers for my developer track. Will you speak? And he said, sure. So perhaps the trick is to let me recruit those people first, and then really promote that a lot.
Yeah.
Perhaps I think we're onto something with the whole like opening up for panel discussions. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that it would be interesting for the developer track to perhaps almost like the 101, a little bit like the 101 from the standpoint of here are some topics that we think that might be interesting, and can we get facilitators to facilitate that? Like, I love your talk because I'm sitting here going, oh, there are definitely people that are going to be interested in what you're talking about, even if they don't know exactly what it is at this moment, but I think it would be fascinating, and I think it would be a draw, to get.
Yeah. Now, I went to a conference in Seattle this past October, and they did something very, very interesting, and it was a contributor conference to this open source project that I mess around with. And what they did was everybody in the room had a sticky note and a pen, a Sharpie, and they'd write a topic or an idea on the sticky note, and then they'd go to the middle and they would announce it in the microphone to the middle of this big, huge ballroom. I mean, it was a 400-person plus conference, and then they would go to this board and they would put their sticky note in one of the outlying ballrooms, one of the surrounding meeting rooms of the ballroom. And so it was kind of like an impromptu session or topic or talk, or it was like, it was very interesting the way it worked, and I thought maybe it could work for a WordCamp. I can't remember what the name of the type of meeting is called.
Bar camp? Is it a bar camp?
It's not a bar camp, but I assume it's similar.
That sounds like the style.
Yeah.
I've never been to one, but just what people have told me.
Yeah, but it was specific for this open source project that I was involved in. So it was any topic around that. And certainly I think you could probably get enough developers to say, hey, I want to talk about this. And it's not so much, hey, I'm presenting.
Right.
You're just saying, hey, I want to talk about this, and then I'll at least kick off the meeting, shall we say. Hey, I want to talk about this. What does anybody else have to say about it, or whatever, something like that. But anyway, eventually enough topics were, announced that some of them overlapped, and they kind of merged them together, and they kind of had little subtopics in the meetings. It's very interesting.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it would work for the developer track.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just because then you don't have the stress of like, oh, I have this big presentation and public speaking, and oh, I'm scared. No, it's like, hey, can you come and talk about what you're working on?
Right.
And you talk about what you're working on. I mean, I know Sky would talk. I mean, he's always in for giving a little talk like that. A little talk. His probably are like, they're so far over my head, it's not funny. But anyway, okay, so I think we have some really good ideas for the developer track, and it feels like that there is a very strong desire from everyone to really say this is how we use WordPress for business.
Do we have any ideas for who might be wanting to come in and teach? The people from last year, if we started that kind of list making?
Nope, this is our first meeting.
Okay.
And primarily it was that thought being, let's try and figure out what focus our topics need to be. Focus which sessions we need. One of the things that I feel like I didn't do so well last year, and probably because in previous years we had, so 2 years ago we had 35 speaker topics submitted and we only had 28 sessions. So I sort of took it for granted that that would happen again, and that didn't happen last year, and so I just didn't even work that hard to recruit speakers. Whereas this year, since I've been through a drought, so to speak, that's like the first thing I talk about. Put it on your calendar. This is when we need you to be speaking.
One question I have is, I don't know how WordPress.org helps WordCamps or...
Yeah,
I think I've got a rough idea.
Okay.
But what do they send? Do they send any speak? I know they send probably one representative from WordPress.org or...
Nope.
Or Automatic? No?
No. We have one time had our first year, they sent somebody from Automatic. We had a gal. But the way the structure works is that once we're approved as a site, and I'm approved as the organizer, and I'm in the interview process right now, and I laughed at the guy, said, okay, we've done this for 6 years now, and I've been the organizer. This will be my 4th year, but okay, you interview away, buddy. Anyway, so once they approve you, then they pretty much guarantee the finances of the conference. So you have to play by their rules, but then as long as you play by their rules, then if you don't get enough sponsorships, if you don't sell enough tickets, whatever, we submit all our invoices, and all the money goes through the foundation. So anybody that is the sponsor, then they offset the cost of the foundation. To the foundation.
I see.
So that's, from my perspective, that's what they do, which is huge because I put on other events, and you have to stress out about the money, and you stress out about getting enough sponsors. But in terms of helping you, they kind of last year kind of poked me several times, like, hey, we don't think you really have enough signups. What are you doing to get the word out, and what are you doing to make sure your speaker schedule is full? And they would kind of, I think they would call it provide accountability.
Right.
But in terms of, do they do anything logistically to help you? Yeah, no.
Okay.
So.
Well, I was just in the WordCamps that I've been to, Austin, and I've obviously that's a much bigger WordCamp, and they have people flying in from, they've got like Chris, what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm sure they do have people coming in.
They have people coming in.
Yeah, we have requested it, but we've only one time had a person from the foundation or from Automatic. Now, we used to, our first 2 or 3 years, there's a guy that lived in Siloam Springs that worked for Automatic, and he was on our committee, but he was just happened to live here, sort of a deal. Not like, hey, we assigned you this. And we haven't actually heard from him the last 3 years, so... He was really sweet, super nice guy. So, anyway, Ben, do you have any other thoughts on how to get additional people to speak? Do you think that it would be advantageous to try and recruit business owners that manage their own websites and kind of talk from their perspective?
I think that would be cool. I think the first thing would be more proactive on our end, on our board end, earlier in terms of getting the website going, getting bios going. So as we get speakers, that'll generate more speakers. If we get their bios up and links to their businesses, but I think first person to first person would be cool. I don't know any right now that are doing it or doing it successfully, but as an angle, have business owners already running their own websites? I think that would be really cool. It may be a different format. It may be more of a panel, maybe, if there's 2 or 3 and they don't want to be a teacher. Oh, I can do air quotes.
Well, I'm just thinking between the 4 agencies that are going to be involved up here, we should be able to find somebody that's doing something on their own. I get, well, 3 of them. The 4th one, they only do it for them. Anyway, it feels like we should. We did that one year where we had a panel, I think it was in the 101 tract, where it was people that had, there was somebody from government, somebody from business, and then someone from, I think, a nonprofit that ran a panel of like, this is how I use WordPress, kind of a thing. So
I think that'd be great, and I'd want to hear that because the way I use WordPress is totally different than the way a business person uses WordPress. I mean, there are some similarities, but being a developer, you're just, hey, you're just thinking about everything and how can I crank out more code, or how do I fix a problem for somebody. It's totally different than seeing the entire picture. Now I can conceptualize it, I can talk about it, but it's always interesting to me to hear ways that businesses are using it to make their lives easier. So,
Ben, do you think there would be, do you think it might be helpful to try to go a little deeper instead of quite so wide? The thought I had was like, okay, so let's talk about how to use email and all the different email tools that you could use in WordPress. And then, so we talk about that in one, like how do you increase your subscribers? What do you do? Why is email important for your WordPress? Or how is it for business? All of that. But then the next session to be, okay, we've chosen one of these. Like my new favorite email tool is MailPoet. So we're going to go into a little more depth about this is how you set up this template, and here's how you set up this, and this is how you use this, because we're having to learn on the fly how to use MailPoet, and it's a tool that you can use to do, it can automatically email out your blog post, or it can, if somebody is a new subscriber, then how to do that.
I really like it. I looked up MailPoet for the first time today, and it was for my class. It's for my, Blake, I'm teaching CMS for journalists. It's not called that. It's got another name, but it's all front-end work for people that are barely going to touch WordPress, but they need to know it to be able to be like TV reporters, and they're going to have to turn their video into a web post and so forth. And but one of the things you all know it, and God knows I keep on getting on more and more mailing lists, just from newspapers, Talk Business Arkansas, Little Rock, and just different ones that keep on being on mailing lists, and I'm turning it around. My students need to know that, and I'm just now looking into it, and the first one I saw that looked decent was MailPoet.
I like it.
So I like it. It's not everybody's going to a homepage. I mean, it's in all the literature about how people are going to access copy, access material, access information, or even images or videos. It's social media, and now it's more and more newsletters. And so I'm adding that on the fly to my students. So I would want to know it, but I think people wanting websites, that's how you get people hooked to coming to your site, is that you write them once a week.
Sure.
So
well, and then another idea I was thinking is like there's a plugin called CoSchedule. Okay, so it's an it's a social media plugin that you can do, and you can do editorial calendars, and then it can post out to Google+, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And so you can have a visual representation. So I'm seeing a two-part talk where the importance of an editorial calendar, why you do an editorial calendar, how you build an editorial calendar, how you brainstorm topics, how you brainstorm, how that is covered, what are the times of day, and then go into in-depth in a second one that says, here's an example of a plugin, or here's how to use maybe 2 different tools. So here's CoSchedule and it's part of WordPress, or here's Hootsuite. And then
I was about to ask how that was different from TweetDeck or Hootsuite.
Yeah, I don't.
So it sounds parallel.
Yeah, I don't. I'm a bad example because I had somebody today say, why are you not looking at Hootsuite? And I'm like, they pissed me off early on, and they continue. I hate their interface. It is awful to me. So anyway,
that's a good answer. You don't recommend it from personal experience. That works.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, but I pay for the agency level tools at this point. So then, how do you use, and then instead of just doing a 40-minute talk on SEO, you do a 40-minute talk on SEO, and then you go in and you share tools. And so I think by doing this, we, number one, have fewer speakers that we have to recruit, and number two, we really it's much, much more tangible. Does that make sense?
It's tangible, and I didn't talk to every one of my 101 students. One of the things Rebecca asked is it new every year? Most of them are new, but some of them just want to repeat 101 again because they didn't quite get it the first time.
The first time they're learning the vernacular, and they're not really, Yeah.
But basically, I don't think any of them are really blogging. I mean, very, very few of them are blogging. They're really wanting to know for businesses, or they're older and retired and just tapping out their church. That one I saw a few times. And which is a business application, is how do you do your church website.
Or you could do it in general, nonprofit,
Yeah.
Whether you're you're volunteering for your PTA, or you're volunteering for your church, or whatever.
Yeah, but SEO, newsletters, I mean, we get St. Paul's all the time. And I don't know if that's done, if they're using Constant Contact or doing it through any sort of website app, but it's the thing, and it's getting bigger. And they need to know SEO too.
Seth Godin just did a blog post today called "Is Google Making the Internet Stupid?" And basically he said, did you see it?
Yeah, I did. And the answer is yeah, but they were before something.
Well, his bottom line answer was you should be building your subscriber list. Because you can't control what Google does, you can't control what Facebook does. You better be having some emails. So I'll
finish reading it.
This sort of feels a little bit like what we're talking about even for the developers, where we basically are saying, here's what we're talking about, and let's go into a little more in depth. So it's kind of across the board.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Blake?
Yes, I do. I think, like you were saying, going a little deeper on tools. I know that, frankly, most business people don't care that WordPress is the tool. They're just there to learn it because it's the easiest, or they've heard it, and to go deeper into each one of these categories. Okay, they say, okay, so great. I know that I need X. I know that I need SEO. I know that I need Google Analytics. I think it's a great idea to just, maybe if you're having like popcorn sessions on maybe one class is, hey, we're going to talk about 20 plugins that you probably need, and here's why you need them. And maybe not 20, but it's just a number. You go deeper on each one of these tools, and then maybe have 10 minutes, or maybe 15 minutes for each tool throughout the day, and you had little micro tracks almost. That sounds interesting to me because I had no idea about MailPoet, and now I'm looking at it, and it looks great.
Yeah, it is cool. My favorite thing about being part of this committee is that I always learn about cool tools. Like that's exactly what this is. I mean, somebody will drop a I didn't know what JSON was 3 years ago, and I
Right.
remember after one of these meetings where somebody else was talking about JSON, and I like went and was checking it all out, and I'm not even a developer, but I still loved being able to like
Right.
just expand my vocabulary and expand and be able to talk intelligently to my developers so that they
Right.
take me seriously.
And that's another thing I think would be beneficial for the 101/business track is, hey, you need to know something you need to know how to talk to a developer and a designer. Not that you need to know the intricate details, but hey, you need to know when you need to hire them and when you don't need to. When you can do it on your own with a plugin or a theme or something like that. I think that'd be a good idea to maybe have a little micro session on that. Just, hey, this is when you need something. You need some help.
Mm-hmm.
And, frankly, learning why a website or how a website gets up and running probably helps them. Solves a lot of their problems, because then they can at least know that guy's not doing it right and whatever else. So.
I like that. When do you call for help?
Mm-hmm.
Or when do you pay for help?
Yeah, that's better. Because I'd be wanting to talk people out of help, just because I'm an anti-coder in some ways.
Right.
And in other ways, I had a student today, but it's Monday, so I had my class, wanting her headlines to be centered. And I explained how with responsive themes, everything tends to go to the top and to the left, just so it's easier to shrink. But heck, she had a point. But if she was a client, I could have said, tough, it doesn't work that way. Or I could have been a rich developer and said, let me work on it, and I'll give you an estimate.
Do you think that CSS should be...
I'd enroll in basic CSS because I just get confused when I'm too far into it.
I think CSS is tough for even me. It's not tough, but it's like that's not what I spend most of my time doing. So it's even not that I would go to a WordCamp session on it, but I think that other people would.
I was just going to say the people, the designer people I'm thinking of, they love learning more about CSS and just.
CSS is almost, it's not code, but it's close. It's definitely it's an attachment to markup. So, sure. I think that designers do need to know it or they need to know it just for the same reason that a business person needs to know how to talk to a developer and a designer. A designer needs to know how to talk to a developer and needs to know some CSS. The terms always get very confusing depending on who you're talking to and what does a designer mean and what does a developer mean. And I know what they mean.
That was one of the topics of our meetup the other night, actually. It turns into, it's a big panel discussion a lot, but one of the attendees said, so what is the difference between a designer and a developer? And it sparked some great conversation. Really fantastic, because there were purists in the room. So two of the people that represent agencies have been full-on graphic designers for 20 years, and their perception of what a designer is very different than me, who has a marketing degree. I run a marketing agency. Mm-hmm. Websites are just a tool I use. Design is just a tool that I use. It's not. Right. It's not what I do. Like I have people that do that, and so it was very interesting to. And then one person theorized that there's front-end development, mm-hmm. and there's back-end development. And so as she described front-end development, I said that sounds a whole lot more design. I propose that you can't be a pure designer, at least anymore, and not understand web and not understand some CSS. You may not be able to code. You may not be able to actually do the CSS, but I don't believe you can. I won't hire anybody that's a designer that doesn't understand what they're asking for.
Right. And I tell this to people all the time. It's just like when you hand me a mock-up, well, that's not necessarily what it's going to turn out to look like because you don't understand, especially coming from the typical design school of thought where we can do everything in Photoshop, where nowadays nobody's even using, well, not nobody. The majority of people are moving towards, they're not even designing in Photoshop anymore because they know HTML and they know a little bit of CSS, and they're mocking up the entire web page in HTML in the browser. And it might not do anything, but it's at least a static page in HTML that represents what they're doing. I think that's probably another good topic for designers for the designing course is just say, look, if you're still using Photoshop for more than just rendering your images, you're doing it wrong. At least that's what I see in my experience, because images are now being as scalable vector graphics and that sort of thing. They're not being designed in Photoshop anymore. I'm
Right.
seeing a lot more tools that are just kind of little one-off $50 tools that people are using. Scope, a few other ones that I use and other people use. The designers that I work with use that are just not. They're web designers, not graphics designers.
Right. And
Yeah.
and some of those tools are crazy awesome because they design, whereas Photoshop designs optimizing for print.
Right.
I feel like.
Exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So,
yeah.
That's a very interesting. Okay, so here are some of the things that I have kind of jotted down, and I'm sorry we're over an hour, but we kind of got a late start, so I hope you'll forgive me a little bit. So email newsletter, SEO, analytics, images. What I'm thinking on that is there's some tools like Canva that allows you to create images, and then also we have a really cool resources for some very inexpensive stock photos. Kind of how to use those. Settings, so there's the whole big panel that's like general settings, reading, writing, all of those settings panel, and maybe y'all don't think that's important. The DNS domain kind of conversation, that what does it take for a website. I saw on somebody else's, San Antonio did a session on that very thing, what you were talking about, what's a registrar, all of that. I think we need to have
that would be great.
Yeah, for the sake of the people that do our sessions, I think we need to have at least a couple of topics that relate to agency, freelance. Last year we had a very popular session that was on project management from an agency perspective, and another one that was on contracts and kind of how to do those. Those were very popular. I have when do you pay for help, and then CSS. So it feels like we could kind of pull these into a couple of tracks, and I'm trying to imagine scenarios where we could allow the people that teach these to also participate, because one of the challenges, like I couldn't go to the session on the guy that did the contracts because I was teaching at that time. And so trying to figure out the schedule in a way that kind of would allow that. And I don't know how that works, but
I'd love it myself. I mean, one of the reasons, I have two reasons why I keep on wanting to not do this anymore, and one is that I've done it for like 4 years, the exact same course updated in normal burnout, but the other one is because I want to go attend stuff.
Sure.
And as a track leader, we just sort of gave me permission to leave the track because we really weren't filming. We've done videotaping, and we pretty much abandoned that and stuff. So there didn't need to be as much monitoring. But I'd love to sit in on other things because I'm continually, especially with my class, learning how ignorant I am.
Okay, well, I am going to summarize. I love this direction. To me, this feels good. The whole, let's have a topic, and then let's go deeper with the tools. I think we're going to have fewer sessions, but we're going to have more meaty, meaningful sessions. So I like it.
That sounds very good to me.
Yeah, we do that, and we throw in something, lively and social on Friday night, and some guru stuff on Sunday morning. I think those continue to be popular.
Absolutely, I agree. Well, because one of the biggest things WordCamp provides is networking. I mean,
yes.
So anyway, okay, thanks so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. And our next session is on March 23rd. And so we're going to continue to offer these via Hangouts just to try and expand the reach of the people. I'll probably still also offer it live for anybody that wants to show up at the Belford group, but I think this can eventually get to a point where we can include a few more people in the discussion. I really appreciate you jumping in, Blake. I feel like it was very helpful.
Yeah,
me too.
I do have to run, though, so
okay.
y'all have a good night.
All right, we'll see you later.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.